I think the most important thing we have to understand at COP28 is that water is not just a resilience and adaptation story, it also has a mitigation dimension to it. At the end of the day, when it comes to climate risk, water is our weakest link. And in order to use water both as a frame for how we understand the risks that communities are facing, but also as a leverage in order to solve for the problem, this is the fundamental paradigm shift that we require from the world's governments. So first understand how the inequity with regards to climate impacts access to water and access to water, especially for vulnerable communities. Sometimes water is too much, sometimes water is too little, sometimes it's too far, sometimes too near. The other aspect is how do we then think about water then replenishing nature, forests, soils, in order for those assets then to become the carbon sinks that we need for mitigation. So it is this more holistic approach towards understanding the role that water plays that we need from COP28. But this is not the only forum. Throughout this year, starting with the UN Global Conference on Water in March, as well as the G20 presidency held under India, we see that water is now coming up more and more in the international agenda. The G20 leaders declared something called the Green Development Pact, which explicitly drew reference to the need to share the best practices around water, but also to include it as part of a larger agenda of sustainable development of nature-based solutions, as well as on climate action. In order for all of this to happen, we can't forget the people. The people cannot simply be the objects of our pity. They need to become the subjects, the change makers of the change that we seek. And this is where the role of youth becomes particularly important. We see examples in Africa, we see examples in my own country, in India, where youth have become water scientists, managing local water resources, replenishing groundwater, trying to develop the new business models around circular economy of water. These are then going to be the change makers that not only conserve and preserve the environment, but also drive a completely new economics of water, which results in a water economy that's more sustainable for the future.